Hi guys, I'm Ivory and today I'm going to be doing a 2-day wear test on the Fenty Eazedrop Blurring Skin Tint. I am super excited about this. I love Fenty foundations, even though I don't know if we can qualify this as a foundation, but I'm going to be calling it that for simplicity. But I have loved all Fenty foundations. I loved her original matte one, her hydrating one. I even liked her powder one. So I really have high hopes here. I will be showing you what this foundation looks like initially, as well as checking in throughout the day to show you how it wears. For anyone that's new, I have oily and acne prone skin, so a lot of my wear tests are catered towards people with similar skin types. So if you find that this review is helpful, I will link up in the cards a playlist of all the other foundations I've done a review on. Before I begin, I do have two things I want to say. I do put timestamps in my description box. That way you can skip to whatever part you need to. I do not want people wasting their time here. So if there's a specific part you're trying to get to, feel free to just skip to that part. I do not mind. The second thing is that a lot of people seem to forget that I am cruelty free as of 2019. It may be confusing because I have done reviews on products that aren't cruelty free, and even now I still use products that aren't cruelty free, but that is simply because I'm just using them up. I do not want them to go to waste. So if you have any recommendations in terms of products you want me to review, which I welcome, I love when you guys give me ideas, please make sure at the very minimum that the products that you recommend are cruelty free. I actually have a third thing that I forgot about, but I wanted to tell you a little sneak peek that the next video that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be comparing this foundation to the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator because they're both supposed to be skin tints. I just put up a video doing a 2-day wear test on this foundation, so I do have a dedicated video of just this foundation alone. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that comparing these two is going to be my next video, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, and now we can really start. I'm gonna go ahead and add primer to only half my face to see if it makes a difference. The one I'm using is the Hourglass Mineral Veil, and I'm gonna apply that to the center of my face, and with the remaining product, slowly move it outwards. Whenever I do a wear test, I make sure that all of the products that I use are products that I'm very familiar with and I like. That way, if the foundation works, I can pinpoint the problem. I don't really understand how people do wear tests and try a bunch of different things and then are able to say, oh, it's the concealer's fault when they have a new foundation or a new primer or all of it's new. I'm like, how do you know that it's the problem though? Like, how can you be certain? And then on either side, I'm going in with a brush and a sponge because I assume that these are two of the most common applicators for people to use to apply foundation. The brush that I'm using is the Sigma F47, which they call the multitasker. And then the sponge that I'm using is a microfiber sponge from Juno & Co. The foundation is supposed to have a buildable light to medium long wear coverage with quick blur complex for a hydrating diffused effect. It has a smooth texture that layers well with primer and skincare. It has a humidity, sweat, and transfer resistant formula. The bottle contains 1.08 fluid ounces and retails for $29.50. Okay, so this is one layer. I don't think there's a difference in terms of coverage with either applicator. They look pretty neck and neck right now. Before I forget, the shade that I'm using is 11. This was supposed to be medium, I think, with neutral undertones. One of the things I appreciated is that she gave a chart. If you're a certain shade in her foundations, then you would use this shade in the Eazedrop. So the shade I use in her Pro Filter Matte and Hydrating is 290, and then in her powder, I'm 300. And in the chart, I think it said like 270 to 300 uses number 11. So that's why I bought that. I did also try number 10, and I did feel like the undertone was a little bit better because it was golden, and it was basically a perfect match for me as well. I think either of those would have worked, but I ended up going with 11 because it's a little bit darker, and I suffer from this thing called I think I'm tanner than I actually am syndrome. Whenever foundations are too light, I always have a hard time salvaging it, so I always go a little darker in fear of that happening. I'm gonna go ahead and add a second layer though to see how it builds up, and I'm really only focusing this on areas that I want a little bit more coverage, so really it's just over my acne, and if there's a little bit of remaining product, I'll just tap it in all the other areas that don't need as much coverage. I did wear this yesterday, but I didn't wear it for the whole 10 hours, which is why I didn't film it. Also, when you get this product, let me know what you think of the smell because it smells weird and not in a good way. At the beginning, I thought maybe it was SPF or something mixed into it because it's a skin tint, but there's no SPF in this, so I don't know what the smell is, but it's not pleasant. It doesn't linger the whole day, but when I apply it, I smell it immediately. All right, so I applied the second layer. Coverage-wise, I feel like they're the same. You could use either one and you'll get the same result. However, I feel like it looks better with a sponge because right here on both sides, I have acne on my chin, but on the brush side, it looks patchy. It's just not laying as nicely. It looks as if I've been wearing this for 4 hours and there's a little bit of wear in it already, but it's freshly applied and that's not happening over here. So I would just be wary of that happening when you use a brush. Everywhere else on the face, it looks fine. It looks the same on either side. As far as coverage-wise, wise canceled out so much redness from my acne and my hyperpigmentation and just my acne scarring. It just toned it down and made everything more even. It looks super natural. It's very lightweight. It just really looks like your skin but better. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward doing the rest of my makeup. All of the products that I use will be listed in my description box below. So now that all my makeup is applied, I am seeing just a couple issues that I'm gonna get closer for in a second. I also wanted to let you know that usually when I set my face with powder, lately I only set the places that have concealer, and then the rest of my face I don't need to set it because I use powder products. So when I apply that on top of the foundation, it basically sets the foundation for me without having to go with loose powder first and then putting blush or bronzer. But today I did lightly set it with loose powder because I'm gonna be wearing a mask today. So I wanted to reduce the amount of transfer that I was gonna get. When I get up close on both sides, my nose is looking a little broken up already. And same thing on my chin. It looks like some of the foundation lifted off already. I wonder if it's because I sprayed my face and then I pressed the spray with my sponge. And by doing that, I might have lifted off some foundation, but that doesn't seem to have happened anywhere else on my face. It only happened on my nose and my chin. So tomorrow, just to change it up, I probably won't do that again, just to see if I get a different outcome, because that wasn't happening yesterday. At least I didn't notice it. I'm also noticing already that it's settling right here in my forehead wrinkle. You see when I make expressions, it like creased right here already. I'm gonna fix that right now, but I have a feeling in a couple hours it'll fix itself when my oils come through, so I'm not super worried about that. But I'm gonna be wearing this for 10 hours today. I will check in at the halfway point in natural lighting to show you how it's wearing. Okay, so I'm almost at the 5-hour mark. I'm in my car for natural lighting today because I'm about to go inside a building to get my first dose for the COVID vaccine, which I'm very excited for. Hopefully it's not too painful. As far as how the foundation is wearing, all the problematic areas that I was pointing out at the beginning, they seem to have kind of fixed itself as my oils have come in and mixed in with the foundation. I feel so awkward because there's a guy next to me just staring at me. As far as oiliness goes, I don't feel like I'm very oily right now. And as far as primer versus no primer, I think it might be a little bit too soon to tell. I can't really see a difference. I'll probably be able to tell more at the 10-hour mark. But I wanted to give you a close-up of what I'm working with. You can see on my nose, it's okay looking. It's not super perfect, but the coverage is still there. And same thing on my chin, not too bad. The nice thing about it being so sheer is that if it does break up, it's not too noticeable. So it's going to be a little bit harder for me to pick up on imperfections. I do have to wear a mask to go into the building, so I should probably blot. Oh my God, I didn't bring blotting sheets. Okay, we're blotting with napkins today. And I'm just doing this to get rid of some of the oils, so that way there's less transfer onto my mask. We be blotting, not concerning what nobody wanna say. Okay, I touched up and you can see some of my foundation has rubbed off. I just wanna make sure that none of my foundation is too disturbed. Nope, it looks all good. So this is my halfway check-in. Tomorrow, it'll be a better natural lighting segment, but I will see you in 5 more hours to give you my final thoughts on day 1. All right, it is the end of day 1. I've actually been wearing this for about 11 hours. Yesterday when I wore this, it seemed fine, but I wasn't really paying attention, and I also didn't have products on top of it. But now that I have the whole shebang, I don't know how I feel about this. This doesn't really ever happen to me, but my concealer is not mixing well with this foundation. It's creasing, and I don't really have creasy under eyes. This is definitely a rarity to me. On my nose and on my chin, it's definitely rubbed off. And I know what you're thinking, I wore a mask today. I only wore my mask for a half hour tops. I was in and out of there really quick. And when I came out of the building, I took off my mask and I checked my rear view mirror to see the damage, and it didn't look that bad at that time. So a lot of the breaking up happened after I left the building to get vaccinated. Now it's gonna be a little harder to see it, to pick up on camera because of the fact that it's supposed to be sheer. So it's harder to detect these types of things, but my nose definitely blotchy, and on my chin, it's definitely cracking. And again, it's sheared out right here. On my cheeks though, it looks okay. My forehead looks all right, average, nothing spectacular. My T-zone definitely shows some wear and tear, most definitely settling into my fine lines here. In terms of oil production, I don't think it looks that bad. Also not great, it's kind of somewhere in the middle. And in regards to primer versus no primer, I don't see a noticeable difference on either side. They both have equal wear and tear for me. I'm kind of lukewarm about the product because it is pretty sheer. It's not too noticeable. As a whole, it looks okay. The center of my face is what's bringing down the average. And even though it's supposed to be light coverage, I notice it. And I have a feeling that if someone came up to me and looked at me, they would be able to notice it. But also it is 11 hours of wear. So it's like, is it that bad? I don't know. I'm wishy-washy about this one. Luckily, I have another day. This is gonna be my third time trying it, and I can try out something different in hopes of better results. But I'm gonna be saving my final thoughts until the end of the video because this video is gonna be long enough. And also I have changed my mind on day 2. So I don't wanna make an opinion and jump the gun too early. I definitely need more time to figure out this one. So that is the end of day 1. See you tomorrow. All right, it is day 2. Since primer didn't seem to make a difference yesterday, I think I'm gonna skip it. Honestly, I'm one of those people that doesn't really stand by primer. I mean, I have had primers that I liked, but in terms of longevity, there's not one primer I can really think of that stands out like, yes, this one really helped with the longevity. It's like when you and 5 other people are lifting up furniture like a couch, and as you lift it up, you realize you're not really doing any of the work. Like, you're there for moral support. Like, you're there if someone decides like their arms are tired and they have to let go, and you'll be there as a backup, but your contribution to lifting up the couch isn't super significant. That's how I feel about primer in a nutshell. So that's just to say I'm skipping it, and I think I want to try powdering underneath, and that has helped really aid the foundation from breaking up too soon, and it has helped me stay shine free longer. It just prolongs the oils from coming through. So I'm just going in with my Dermablend loose setting powder, and I'm going to use my puff. This one is from Tati Beauty, and I'm going to apply this to all the areas where I noticed it was breaking up. So it's just going to be the center of my face. You could put it around the entire face if you really wanted to. I've done that as well, but it was only breaking up around the center of my face, so that's where I'm going to put it. And I'm really making a point to just press it in. There should not be just clumps of loose powder all over your face. You really want to press that in. And this is all I'm going to do. Oh my god, I got my shot here and it hurts. I am such a baby when it comes to pain. I have no pain tolerance. I'm going to go ahead and use the microfiber sponge all over my face since I preferred that applicator. And then yesterday for concealer, I mixed these two together, but I've noticed that sometimes foundations don't play nicely with my Flower Beauty one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my ColourPop one today, and hopefully I won't get that creasing issue that I had yesterday. It's weird too because I don't add foundation under my eyes on purpose. Concealer alone covers up whatever I need to under my eyes, so I don't really add foundation underneath. So I'm not really sure why it was so creasy. And then I'm gonna go ahead and with the puff again, lightly set all the areas that I applied concealer. I'm not gonna be setting my entire face today because I'm staying home all day, so I know I don't have to wear a mask. I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and then come back. I'm not gonna show all of it because with the exception of the eyeshadow palette, the rest of the products that I'm using are the same as day 1. So I'm gonna quickly do my makeup and then pop back in. Okay, so my makeup is on. I know it looks like a lot, but I just want to remind you that I only put 1 layer of foundation on, and just to reiterate, I only applied powder on the areas that I applied concealer. So this whole area underneath my blush is not set, but it doesn't feel sticky or tacky at all. It just kind of feels like skin. I don't even have bronzer on my cheeks. I just have blush. I think it just looks like I have a lot of makeup because of the eye look, but I promise you I don't have as much as you think. I can already tell though, it looks way better than it did day 1. My nose and my chin are looking way smoother. Today I purposely didn't set my face with setting spray because I was afraid that that was what ruined my base yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I'm right because nothing looks lifted off. So yeah, everything looks really good right now. Again, wearing it for another 10 hours. So I will check in around the halfway point and we'll go from there. Okay, we are about 5.5 hours in. It definitely looks better today. All the areas where it was breaking up, it's not breaking up nearly as much as yesterday. You can see on the side of my nose, on my nostril, it is breaking up a little bit on either side. It's not too bad, but it is noticeable. And on my chin, I definitely see it cracking a little bit. I see those vertical lines going up and down on my chin, but at least for the most part, the coverage is still there. I don't think I don't think it's settling too much on my smile line. And at the beginning, I did see this forehead wrinkle. Now that my oils have come in, again, it is a little bit more blended, but I do still see a faint line of it. I am gonna go ahead and blot again, this time with real blotting sheets. And I will list my favorite ones that I use in my description box below. Okay, so I went ahead and blotted. I definitely lost coverage on the sides of my nose, and I lost just a little bit of coverage here and there. So just be wary that that may happen to you if you do touch up. It doesn't look too bad, but I've definitely had foundations that do a little bit better with touch-ups, especially since it's only 5.5 hours in. Usually when I blot around the halfway point, I get pretty minimal transfer, and I kind of lost more foundation than I would have liked, but this is what the foundation will look like 5.5 hours in natural lighting. I will check in another 5 hours to give you my final thoughts. We have finally reached the 10-hour mark. Today is the best that it's ever worn, and the things that I did differently today was no primer, powder underneath, didn't set my face with spray. So if you are interested in this foundation and it's not working out for you, I'm just giving you my 2 cents of what I had to do to make this work best for me. You can definitely see on the sides of my nose, it is still broken up a little bit. It doesn't look like it's gotten worse since the last check-in, but it's just a little bit broken up. But the top of my nose, actually, it's all stayed together, and the coverage is nearly the same as it was at the 0 hour mark. As far as my chin, I see parts of my acne exposed, like this whitehead. Oh girl, that one is ready to be popped. I still see those vertical lines from the cracking, but again, it doesn't look like too much has changed since the 5 hour mark. The cheeks look pretty good. Usually, for the most part, the sides of my cheeks take foundation pretty well. Nothing really ever happens there. My forehead, it looks just okay, average, I would say, nothing spectacular, but the T-zone, just like yesterday, I do see some wear and tear on it. So as far as how I like this foundation, when I compare this to all her other foundations, this is the last one that I would pick. It's definitely not the worst product in the world. I think it worked okay on me. I'm just saying in comparison to the rest of her foundations, I would recommend the other ones that she's put out first. So let's go over the pros and the cons. I actually really like the coverage of this. I thought this was a great your skin but better type of product. It evened out a lot of my redness, and when I just wore this on the first day with just this product alone, nothing else, you could not tell at all that I was wearing makeup. So it just does a really great job of evening things out without it looking makeup-y or very detectable for that matter. I also really like the way it sets without powder. It doesn't say on the box what type of finish is it supposed to be. Is it matte or satin? I'm not sure, but it doesn't feel sticky. It just feels like your skin. I don't like that feeling of tackiness. I feel like the minute I put my hand here or I hug someone, there's gonna be transfer, and I don't set certain parts of my face. So all the places that I don't set and it's just the foundation alone, it doesn't have to feel totally matte or set like how it would feel when you have setting powder on top. I'm just saying I don't like that sticky, tacky feeling. I think overall it wore okay. I like it. I don't love it. If I had to rate it, it would be somewhere in between like 78 to 80. It's somewhere in there. It didn't wear too badly on me. It was just kind of average. So I'm not upset about the product, but I think in terms of the rest of her foundations, as well as the foundations that I really like, it kind of falls in the middle. It's mediocre. So I really don't think I can give a resounding approval or disapproval for this product because I just think it worked okay. That's the whole point of my review. You watch how it wore on me and then you can decide, okay, is my skin like that? If it is, maybe it'll wear the same way on you and you can decide whether or not a product like this is worth the money. But at the end of the day, do whatever you want. That is it for this review. I hope that it was helpful or insightful. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment down below what other types of foundations you'd like me to review. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I would love to see you come back. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one.